Okay. Excellent. So this is Dr. Steve Arculeo. I want to welcome you to this very special and urgent message webinar. It's on coronavirus and boosting your immune system, what you could do in this crisis. I'm very concerned, and that's why we put this together. And okay, thank you. I'd love the chat box open. You just joined us, get the chat box open so we could communicate with each other. And I'm definitely, Matt will be going over vitamin C and that a little later. So I'm gonna hold off on that. Just plug in as I move along. I'm gonna move quickly. It'll be around a little more than a half an hour long, and then I'll open it up to Q&A, but you're certainly welcome to, I'll unmute you all and we could talk. And then, but if you have any questions along the way, please give me feedback. I rely on that to know how fast I should go or clarify things. So we'll move along. Anyhow, I have a bold promise to you, and that promise to you is I want to share with you exactly how you could strengthen your immune system, what proactive things you could do, how you could give, I want to give you the best chance to have resistance against being infected by the coronavirus, and how to improve your ability to recover effectively, God forbid, if you do get it. So these are key things. And really, shut off your phone, shut off Facebook, whatever you got going on. This literally, if you're concerned about what's going on with this coronavirus situation, you're going to hear things that you're not going to hear on the general media or some general public health tips that are going around. And it literally, if you really want to do something about what you're concerned with, the next 30 minutes, 60 minutes could literally change your life. So just a little bit about you, about me rather. I went to the University of Bridgeport in Connecticut, which technically was the first school to have a master's program in nutrition, believe it or not, in 1982. And I went there, and I got a doctoral degree in the National Health Sciences out in Lombard, Illinois, and that's where what brought me out to Chicago. I'm a wellness physician, acupuncturist, herbologist, chiropractor. I have a degree in physical therapeutics, and I'm a certified anti-aging specialist. Not to brag or anything like that, but I've been in school forever. I'm currently getting a degree in certification in regenerative medicine, and there is a tie-in with coronavirus and some of that with the vitamin C treatments. So I've had 25 years treating 18,000 patients. We just switched our computer software, so I actually know that number. And nothing beats experience with, if somebody has their eyes open like I have, is curious and always wanting to help patients. I've learned a lot, and I want to share some of what I learned over to you tonight. And I'm the director of Peak Performance Healthcare. I'm a health consultant with WGN News, NBC News, and Chicago Cranes Magazine. I've lectured nationally and internationally, and for all these institutions, Whole Foods, DePaul University, Field Museum, Harpo Studios with Oprah. And so I'm very familiar with dealing with the public and the health challenges in corporate America and right here in Chicago relative to people getting sick, having strong immune systems, and so forth. I've had a long history in diet, nutrition, herbology, and I am third generation. For Paul Bragg is the guy on the left. Maybe some of you know who Jack LaLanne is on the right. Those are my teachers. I studied under one of their students, so I'm third generation down from them. And I have worked with some world famous herbologists, and I've custom formulated digestive remedies and health and immune system boosting formulated herbs and nutrition programs for years now. I've done food sensitivity testing and weight loss programs for the last 18 years, and there's going to be something very important relative to corona and your immune system there. I will throw out a disclaimer here straight away. I am not an expert in viruses or virology or public health issues. I think you're hearing well enough from them on the media. But what I am and able to offer you different and distinct from that is I'm an expert in helping people improve their resistance to sickness and disease. And that is really what's missing. And I'll tell you, the reason why this is important to you now And please plug in anything into the chat box. If you just joined us, I'd love to get some feedback as I move along here, because otherwise I'm just talking to myself. I don't know if any of you guys are getting a little stir crazy with being at home a lot. I'm here at the office regardless. We're still open. But why this is important to you now is because most of what you're hearing right now is focused mostly on regarding the coronavirus is how to keep from getting in contact with the virus, such as wash your hands, use tissues when coughing, avoid touching your face, social distancing, isolation. All of that is an avoidance strategy, which is good advice, and you should definitely do it. I'm not minimizing any of that, and I'm not going to really go into any of those tips. I'm sure I see it repetitively over and over again on the media, and necessary, absolutely. I'm not minimizing it at all, but it's really only half the battle. It's only half the battle. Our government officials are saying we're in wartime now and we're in a battle, and I agree with that. Only, you don't want to bring only half the troops to the battle here, and avoidance is only half of it. And that's where I want to fill in the other half. Now, the difference between you getting exposed to coronavirus and getting sick or not has everything to do with your immune system and resistance. You guys tracking with that? You with me? Give me a little feedback there. Okay, hope patients are coming to the office. Yes, patients are coming to the office. We actually had a busy day today. So the difference between you getting exposed, let's say you get exposed to coronavirus, and whether you get sick or not has everything to do with you and your immune system. So along that, and if you were to be affected, the difference between you recovering well or not, God forbid, would be determined by your immune system strength. Are you getting this? How this is so different than just hiding and running. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do wise in that sense. The best thing to do is not get it. You know, don't get me wrong. But gee whiz, doesn't it make sense to safeguard yourself, God forbid, if you do get it? Because according to the American Academy of Physicians, there is no current vaccine or treatment for the coronavirus. The symptoms of coronavirus usually go away on their own, thank goodness. But if the symptoms feel worse than a common cold, contact your doctor. He or she may prescribe pain or fever medication. Let me pause there for a second. They may be able to give you a little pain killers or fever medications, which I have even questions about the efficacy of that, unless it's life-threatening. There's no treatment for it. So you want to listen up for some of the practical things I'm going to share with you that has been substantiated in science, in nutritional sciences and medical sciences, and that I've seen in practice over the last 25 years and 18,000 patients. So I'm going to share that with you. So can you see how you want to really be a participant rather than just hide and just leave it as is? Because like Benjamin Franklin said, and this is so wise and appropriate right now, is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So anyhow, let me ask you this, and I want some feedback, please, in the little box here. Yeah, I'm totally concerned with the spread of this. And okay, so anyhow, true or false, is it normal to have a low immune function to where you get infected easily whenever exposed to anything, not just coronavirus? Is it normal to have a low function? Is that normal? To where when you get exposed to coronavirus, you'll get it. Okay. False. Yup. Lynn, you're right. False. Absolutely. Jordan, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Okay. You're right. Although, unfortunately, if you watch the news, you get the impression they assume that you're going to get it. So it's common to have that viewpoint that you're automatically going to get sick. And that's not true. That's not true. Okay, you may get exposed, but you may not get infected. There's a difference. Can you see the difference? Very important. And here's the thing. The difference is how well your immune system is functioning. Now, what is the immune system? Many of you probably know this. Let me just clear it up. It is the defense system within you that protects you against infection and disease. This could be said to be your military, and its job is to fight off enemy invaders that can hurt or kill you. That's constantly going on. You have cancer cells in you right now that's being eaten up and thrown out. You have other flu viruses in you right now that's being eaten up and killed off, and you're not getting sick because your immune system is doing its job. Now, let me ask you this question, and hit the chat box if you would. What do the elderly people, have you heard the elderly and people with pre-existing health conditions like the ones on the bottom right there, what do they have in common? You've heard about it in the news, that the elderly and the people with pre-existing conditions and people overweight, they tend to be more susceptible to contracting the coronavirus illness. What do they have in common? The elderly and people with pre-existing conditions. Yes, Jordan, absolutely, a lowered immune function. Let me ask you this, it's kind of silly, but do you think the coronavirus has the ability to know your age? Of course not. You could be older. Do you know, just 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, before this whole thing hit, I saw that the guy that broke the world's record for doing a plank, that's you're on your elbows and the rest of your body is in like a push-up position. This guy did a plank for 11 hours and 8 minutes. I couldn't even do a plank for 8 minutes, to be fair, probably. But anyhow, the guy was 61 years old. I promise you that fellow probably has a better immune system than most of us. He's very fit, he's healthy, and he could fight off viruses probably that comes his way better than most. So if you have obesity, digestive disorder, heart disease, or diabetes, that may make you more susceptible, but you could do things about it. So I'm going over the variable. You have something to do. It's not just your calendar age. It has to do more with your resistance towards disease and infection. So moving around, why do you think Italy, well, I'm Italian, why do you think Italy is getting hit so hard? Well, case in point, there's a lot, the average age is older in Italy. There's a lot of retired people in Italy, and they have been exposed to it through certain immigration and so forth of workers, but they are an elderly population, so that might fit some of that model. So here's some scary statistics I got to share with you. It's estimated recently, the Surgeon General actually said it's estimated that 40% or more of Americans will be exposed to coronavirus. So there's a high probability we could all be exposed to coronavirus. And as I'm going right back to Benjamin Franklin here, by failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. Hard to say that one. But that's why I want to prepare you. And I think we should all make measures right now if we're wise, like Benjamin Franklin there. Okay, so what we'll cover tonight is part one. What weakens your immune system? You can't really do a treatment. You can't really do a treatment unless you have a diagnosis. You can't really do a helpful solution if you don't know the cause of the problem. So what weakens your immune system? Such as bad digestion, toxicity, nutritional deficiency, stress, and a couple others we'll highlight there. And part two, very practically, we'll go right into what will strengthen your immune system and give you the best fighting chance to not get this thing. And if you do, go through it quickly like many healthy people are doing right now. So that could be identifying food sensitivities and avoiding bad foods. And I'm going to list certain bad foods. You want to stick around for that. Key vitamins, sleep, and stress management. So we'll get to all of that. Okay, so let's jump right in. Any questions so far? Shoot it into the chat box. I'm looking right now. Textile working, okay. Immune response. Somebody said weak immune response. What? Lynn, we're talking about your immune system either works well and fights off disease and keeps you healthy so you don't even get sick, or if you do get sick, you recover quickly. That would be a good immune response. If you don't have a good immune response, you get sick and you can be overcome by the invader, being the virus. Okay, thank you for the question there. Let's move along. Okay, part one, right here. What weakens the immune system? What weakens the immune system can be summed up in this great quote by Dr. Yufan Lin, medical doctor from Cleveland Clinic. She says, 80% of your immune system is in the gut, meaning your intestines, your digestive tract. So when it's healthy, we tend to be able to fight off infections faster and better. Did you know that? Did you know 80% of your immune system is in your intestines? Okay, that's huge. That's really a big deal. That's a big deal. So we're going to put a lot of emphasis on digestion because, you know, if we could help you 80%, and we'll go over the other 20% potential ways you could improve things too. So we'll help you along with those too. And so how do you know you have bad digestion? You know, I'm not talking you have an overt disease like colitis or, you know, irritable bowel or something like that. But over 50% of Americans have overt digestive issues, and it could come in the form of just bloating, gas, heartburn, reflux, constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's disease, fatigue, skin problems, sinus or throat infections, headaches or migraines, or being overweight. So let me ask you this. Anybody have any questions? I don't want to confuse anybody about any of those terms or diseases. If you had any questions, just ask me here. If I go past anything that doesn't make sense, I want you to walk away with this totally understanding. I don't want to throw you off on anything. Anyhow, if you have any of those things, you could have a digestive problem that's weakening your immune system. So moving along, you could even have mood, anxiety, depression disorders as far as that goes. So how, right here, how do you get a damaged digestive tract? It could happen from food sensitivities, eating foods that are bad for you. I'm about to list the top foods that are bad for you that I'm going to highly recommend you don't go near, especially right now. Sorry about the typo on foods. Toxins, eating certain toxin, you know, being exposed to toxins and so on, and certainly stress. We probably all know stress will affect, you know, your stomach and your digestion and so forth. So what weakens your immune system is certainly nutritional deficiencies. We could probably appreciate to that. It's a major cause of lowered immune function. That's why so many people take vitamin C. And Matt, I know you're asking about vitamin C. We'll get to that in a minute. But what most people don't know is nutritional deficiency not only come from just not taking the vitamin or certain foods, but often are due to bad digestion and poor absorption. In other words, you eat it and it goes into your mouth and maybe into your stomach, but you don't absorb it. And that's a major problem. So first, let's talk about the digestive tract, what it does and how you could have an influence on it and how it impacts you fighting off coronavirus and other agents like that. The digestive tract, the function of the digestive tract, the main function is to absorb your nutrients, to absorb the proteins, the vitamins, the minerals, the fats, all the good things you need to make new cells, to give you fuel, to give you energy and make things happen for you. It's also a large part of your immune system, like we said before, to the tune of 80%. This is from the British Society for Immunology. The intestinal immune system, the immune function, in other words, of the intestines. The intestinal immune system encounters more infectious agents than any other part of the body. Isn't that amazing? I don't know. It's not something we normally think about. So this is what happens. You're somewhere, and this is where the social distancing is all about. And you'll see the 6 feet. Apparently, if you're more than 6 feet, you're not going to project these water particles that could be infected. The viruses can spread, as it says here, primarily enters into the nose. Also, it can go into the eyes or mouth. And a large portion of the infection agents, like they said, earlier, and the earlier medical quote was that the digestive tract has to confront the majority. So here's a good, can anybody see which is a good intestine? Now, these are real intestines, by the way. Which one's good and which one's bad? Anybody want to tell me, left or right? Just let me know you're alive out there. The good one is on the left. Absolutely. Good. Thank you. So food sensitivities, toxins, and stress will produce the one on the right. And if you have an unhealthy digestive system, it's going to have a big impact on your immune system, like we talked about. So let's talk about what it does. This is interesting on many levels, not just the immune system, but that's our focus tonight. But which intestine do you think would absorb vitamins, minerals, and proteins better? Which one? A or B? A or B, guys? Which one's going to absorb proteins, minerals, and vitamins better? Okay, if you said A, you're 100% right. And so if you don't absorb minerals, vitamins, and proteins, but the intestines can easily absorb fat and sugar, guess what your brain tells you to crave? Fat and sugar. So you end up doing what? What will that lead to if you're craving fat and sugar? That will lead towards some weight gain and lowered immune function. Let me carry forth a little bit more with these disgusting looking cross sections of the intestines here, but there's an important point. This will create significant nutrient deficiency critical to your immune system, namely the top three vitamin, there are others, but these are the top three: vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D3 specifically. So digestive disorders will cause a lack of absorption of vitamin D3. D3, by the way, this is a big player. We're going to go over this a couple different points. D3 is an immune modulator. In other words, it's the big boss controlling, it's the orchestra. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, telling the immune system really what to do in a degree. Somebody asked, Matt asked, could the lower one be a leaky gut? That certainly could have leaky gut. This could be somebody with irritable bowel. This could be somebody with just ulcers and or just upset stomach or real sensitive stomach. This is unfortunately a large amount of Americans have intestines that look to some degree like that. So case in point, here's a fellow who had irritable bowel disease for 10, 15 years, having diarrhea 5-6 times a day. He was taking Prilosec, that's a heartburn, reflux med, and Tums, taking antacids daily. He did our food sensitivity program, and it's been a miracle since identifying the foods, he says, that I've been having intolerance to and avoiding those foods. Within the first week, I was off the Prilosec and Tums and antacids. Now I have no acid reflux and no more irritable bowel symptoms. Why he's in there? Let me ask you this. How will that improve the effect of his immune function if 80% of immune function is in his gut? Obviously, he's going to have better immune function. Huge change there. That was just a miracle case. Imagine having that, just having digestive problems all day long. So what will also lower your immune function here is being overweight. Overweight or obese puts you in a risk category that is part of a pre-existing medical condition. So when they talk about that on the news of being over 65 and having a pre-existing medical conditions, it's not just high blood pressure, heart disease, or cancer. It has to do with being overweight or obese. That puts you in that category. So certainly doing something about that will have a dramatic change on your immune function. Lack of sleep, stress, spinal problems, or being in pain, being in chronic pain has a lot to do with lowered immune function. So any questions up to this point before I move on to the next section? You guys are great. I love seeing your questions and feedback as I go through this. Okay, so obesity is a big player here. Along with advanced age and pre-existing medical conditions, obesity predisposes you to susceptibility to infections. So it's pretty obvious who may have a stronger resistance to coronavirus. Okay. You might say to yourself, oh, but I can't lose all this weight. It's got to be done now. I will tell you, if you stabilize your blood sugar, if you start eliminating some bad foods from your diet and you're losing weight, that will increase your immune function. If you don't snack all day and you space out your meals, that will improve your immune function. So you don't have to be skinny winny to have a good immune function, but if you're eating too much, eating the wrong foods, you're going to have trouble. You're going to have trouble, and now's not the time to have trouble. Okay, moving along. Part 2, we're going to go into some of the practical solutions here. What will strengthen the immune system? So what will strengthen the immune system? Here's the list, and we'll go through it in detail. Eliminating the bad foods. I know I've been leading up to this. You're going to actually be very surprised with 1 or 2 of the bad foods. You're not going to believe me, most likely, because everybody says it's good. And that's one of my motivation in getting on the webinar tonight. Number 2 is nutrients, getting the right special nutrients. We'll go over those in detail. I got 2 herbs that are very important that you can incorporate. Weight loss, if needed. We already went over that being very important. Stress management, got a couple practical tips that I've seen work very well over the years. And eliminating pain and having a healthy spine surprisingly has a very big impact on your neuroimmune system, meaning the nervous system affects the immune system. So let's jump right into this solution number 1, eliminating the bad foods. So track with me on this. It's a little cascade of this. 80% of your immune system strength, we already talked about, is determined by the health of your intestines. So if you have bad digestion, you're going to have a bad immune function. So by focusing on this tonight, we could address 80% of your immune resistance, the major component of your immune system. The other 20% we'll touch on towards the end as well. So food sensitivities, if you're not familiar with it, the majority of Americans suffer from, and most do not even know it. Some foods are just good for you, and some foods are bad for your immune system and are hurting you right now, and that's not good. Bad foods are unique to you and may not be unique to even your sister or your brother or your parents or your kids. It's unique to you. And that is why we test for it. We have a very special test we do, but I'm going to share with you what I've learned after doing literally thousands of these tests, or at least over 1,000. I want to go over what foods are the immune system killers. You want to write these down, or at least remember them. Okay, the first, I will tell you, this is not something I made up. I will tell you, I don't know if you've noticed this, but nutrition, there's a lot of weak science in nutrition. And one thing that I've learned is there's so many trendy things that are popular, and I really question, I've been doing this for 25 years, so I've seen every trend come and go. There's the high protein diets, there is going vegan, this is plant-based is trendy now. There's all these different things that are come and go, and I'll just tell you, there's so much misinformation there. Has anybody been frustrated with that? One person will say, eat only meat. Other people will say, just eat plants. Anybody? Can anybody relate, or is that just me? I've seen a lot of crazy things. Anybody hear anything? Okay, yes. Okay, so here they are. Sugar, top of the list. Now, why is sugar bad for your immune system and making you vulnerable for coronavirus or other infections? Is the sugar will feed the bacteria, feed the viruses, and move them along. Sugar also has a huge impact on lowering your resistance by changing and feeding bad bacteria in your intestines and bad molds in your intestines that will give rise to just a bad environment. You turn yourself, by having sugar, you turn yourself into a petri dish for viruses and bacteria to just propagate and grow inside you. So sugar is top of the list, very bad. So you really want to limit it, and certainly don't eat sugar alone. If you have a little dessert after a meal, that's not going to be as devastating, but just sugar alone is bad. The next thing on the list is dairy. Dairy produces, along with wheat, a lot of mucus. The last thing you want in your lungs is a bunch of mucus, or in your sinuses. A lot of people eat dairy and wheat and they'll have chronic sinusitis or they'll be congested in the morning. And the last thing you want is a fertile ground for this virus just to grow. And the mucus that dairy and wheat will produce will be bad for that. I'm going to go over a special herb you could take to clean some of that out and thin that mucus and get rid of it. So, okay, this is I'm now going to get to the things you're not going to believe. And the one thing that I've seen that is devastating, that is ironically used as a vitamin or nutrient as a natural antibiotic or or boosting the immune system is, believe it or not, coming from an Italian guy, I'm telling you this, garlic. I don't know, growing up in an Italian family, it was a holy sacrament, garlic. Oh, eat more garlic, it's good for you. I've heard that so much. I even took tablets of garlic at times thinking it was good. I will tell you, I've tested thousands of patients. It comes up one for one, usually horrible on the digestive tract. Does it have antibacterial characteristics? Absolutely. If you put it in a petri dish and you've got bacteria growing, or maybe even viral in a petri dish, and you throw garlic in there, the garlic could very well kill it. I'll tell you what garlic also kills is your intestines. And you don't want to beat up and irritate the heck out of your intestines when you need it for 80% of your digestion. So I'm not going to argue with you guys over the garlic, but I'm just telling you, I was humbled to realize it's not good for me. It's not good for my patients. I've seen miraculous improvements when people avoid it. You could use shallots. That's a great substitution. Shallots do not show up as bad. Usually it shows up as very good on the food sensitivity testing we do. The next one is the most trendy, popular superfood, quote unquote superfood, that has been promoted for the last 10 years. It has 88 minerals and vitamins, fact, that's true, but it is not a human food. It's not digestible. It is an irritant. It has toxins, plant toxins that protects the plant out of animals eating it, and it's a horrendous food. Does anybody want to take a guess of what I'm talking about? The most popular vegetable that's, Matt, on it. Matt got it. It's kale. Horrible for you. I'm telling you, kale, if you don't like kale, I bet you're smiling. I'm telling you, avoid that. Parsley is great. Greens are great. Other greens are great, but I'm just telling you, kale is a disaster. Stay away from kale, especially now. Don't ask me why. I can't tell you why, but grapes, maybe it's the mold component. I will tell you 99% of the time, grapes show up as a real aggravating fruit. Also bananas. So I know this contradicts bananas. Where am I going to get my potassium from? If you eat fish and meats and so on, you're going to get enough potassium. Grains also have it. Grapes are very sweet, so it's just not a good food as far as that goes. For some reason, wine is not a problem. It's probably the grapes get broken down and are okay with wine. I'm not promoting drinking a lot. I'm just saying these are the top foods. I've just shared with you, after doing thousands of tests, these have come up one for one as being horrible. If you want to see if these are good or bad for you, or what other foods, because it's cumulative, what foods are good and bad for you, like broccoli may be good for you, but asparagus is bad. Other things may be good and bad for you, like soy milk may be bad for you, but almond milk is good for you. We test 600 foods. These are the top ones that I've shared with you and boiled down. And yes, BE, I agree with you. Drinking a lot of water is very key. You're saying fruit and vegetables are important. I would say vegetables, meat, and fish, very important. Not having too much fruit. It's a lot of sugar. It's really not meant to be eaten in the winter. It's more of a summer food. It's not normal for humans to eat fruit outside of the summer and fall. It's supposed to fatten us up for getting through the winter, and I don't think we need any more of that. So moving along, I know some of that might have been surprising. I'm just here to help you. I get no kickback from the Anti-Garlic Society. All right. There's no such thing as Anti-Garlic Society. That was a joke. Okay, so solution number 2, let's jump right in there. Immune boosting nutrients. We already touched on some of these. Let me just go over a couple fine points. Vitamin C, I'm going to tell you something a little different. I'm getting my certification in regenerative medicine, and one of the leaders in the whole movement of stem cell and regenerative medicine is Dr. Reardon. He has written the definitive textbook on the topic after doing around 15 years of research and study around the world on the topic. Interestingly enough, after studying with him, I fell upon some information and documents and research from his father. It was by accident. His father is world famous for vitamin C megadose therapy. He was actually attacked for being a quack, for using large dosage of vitamin C. He was challenged, but he had very good documentation showing miraculous cases of helping people with AIDS, with leukemia, with infectious diseases. And he was ridiculed, he was challenged, and now currently they are using his protocols at Mayo Clinic to treat AIDS. So that's Dr. Reardon, if you want to look that up. And his recommended dosage for a therapeutic dose, not an RDA, not maintenance, but if you want to really boost your immune system, if you really want to neutralize a lot of toxicity and free radicals are bad byproducts of metabolism and breakdowns of foods that could damage your immune system, 3 to 9 grams. The only real side effect of vitamin C is you might get a little diarrhea. I doubt very much if you weigh over 125 pounds, 9 grams is going to push you in that direction. I routinely take 12. I don't miss a day. I spread it out through the day. If you think that's too much, just take 3 grams. Take 1,000 milligrams, 1,000 milligrams a gram, by the way. So take 1 gram in breakfast, 1 gram at lunch, and 1 gram at dinner, and that'll be fine. But if you want to just go full force, I feel confident. I was concerned about just putting this out publicly without evaluating you. If you want some feedback or evaluation, what I think would be appropriate to you more accurately, I'll make time for you. At the end, I'll tell you how we could sit down and discuss a plan for you. Okay, the next one is zinc. Zinc is really important for the mucosa.
What was the number one solution?
You guys could keep you on mute. That would be good. What was the question? I didn't see it in the chat box. Can you put in the chat box? Because
what was the number one solution?
The number one nutrient or solution? Yes. Because you came in a little late. We went over bad foods, eliminating bad foods from your diet. So I listed the bad foods, which I'll quickly list now for you, and then just a repeat for everybody. The bad foods were sugar, dairy, wheat, kale, garlic, grapes, and bananas. Those are the top bad foods you want to eliminate from your diet. That's solution number one. If you want to take it up a notch and really learn uniquely what's good and bad for you and what superfoods are good for you, you want to do a food sensitivity test. I'll talk about that a little later. Getting back to the nutrients, zinc is very important for the mucosal linings. If you guys can mute yourself, that would be helpful. I'm going to mute everybody. Okay. I just muted everybody. Can everybody still hear me? Everybody good? Give me a yes if you could hear me. Okay, thank you, Jordan. Great. And Amy? Amy, so good to see you. All right, tell Jimmy I said hi. Okay, getting back to this. Zinc is really important for the mucosa, the sinuses, the nasal passages where you can get infected. The last thing you want is problems in that area. Zinc is great for immune function. And moving on, we want to get to vitamin D. Like I said, it's an immune modulator. It controls your immune function, but there's something really curious about vitamin D3 and coronavirus. Coronavirus in its DNA actually shuts off a certain amount of your vitamin D's command over your immune system. How evil is that? When I heard that, I just thought this is like an evil mechanism that actually depresses that. And very interestingly enough, The lack of sunlight, the cold weather really promotes not only the propagation of the virus with the cold weather that usually dies off in the warmer weather, but also we don't get what that helps make vitamin D. We don't get sunlight. So I'm really hoping and praying that we are going to turn this around quickly with warmer weather, sunlight helping you have some vitamin D. Like, it was interesting. I don't know if there is a correlation. This is just a speculation of mine. Do you know what state got hit really hard? Out in Seattle. They're famous for Washington, and got hit badly with that, with a lot of infected people there, and subsequent deaths. And they're known for just not getting much sunlight and probably a lot of vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D is hugely important. It's fat soluble. It is a fat soluble vitamin, meaning if you have digestive troubles, you're not going to be able to absorb it too well. You're going to have a problem with that. So that's why it's so important to have good digestion. Probiotics, speaking about good digestion, probiotics, most people know what that is. It is a good bacteria that you could take orally in a tablet that will help promote good bacteria in your intestines. You might ask yourself, well, coronavirus is not a bacteria. Well, I'm just telling you, if you have good bacteria in your intestines, you're fostering that 80% of your immune function, because your digestive tract fights off viruses and bacteria and parasites and other invaders that you get. So probiotics is a must. All these are a must, okay? Those are the nutrients. Any questions? Do you need vitamin K with vitamin D3? Yes, that's good to get vitamin K. Vitamin K you could also get from parsley, which is really, really good. I recommend tabbouleh as a salad to have several times a week. That could be really good for you there too. Okay, moving on. I got a couple things to go over that are really useful. Solution 2, along the lines of nutrients, I put it in here, these herbs. I just handpicked 2 herbs. One is fenugreek. You remember I told you that one of the foods you want to eliminate is wheat and dairy, or that's technically 2 foods, because they produce mucus, and they will cause sinus troubles and congestion and lung mucus. You know, coronavirus has a hallmark symptom and clinical picture of shortness of breath, difficulty breathing. And what they do when you go to the hospital, if you have coronavirus and you're not doing well, they put you on a oxygen, and they help your lungs respirate you. They don't, there's really no treatment for it other than helping you do what you normally need to do. Now, fenugreek can help combat the bad side of mucus producing foods, which, by the way, I said is dairy and wheat, but it's not just dairy and wheat. It's any food that irritates you will be a problem. So any food you have food sensitivities to, your body will produce mucus to protect the gut lining of, and that mucus will spill over into other organ systems such as the lung, your throat, your sinuses, and so on. I had a dentist once. We found out he was had a food sensitivity to corn, and he couldn't believe it. But he had his sinuses scraped, and he was constantly getting nasal infections, and a horrible thing. We simply got him off the corn and a couple other foods, and went away in 2 weeks. He had it for 2 years. Imagine being a dentist, not being able to breathe, and getting constant sinus infections. Okay, so you can imagine if you could thin the mucus, if you have thick mucus, if you have like thick, snotty mucus when you're blown out of your nose, or you're congested in the morning, fenugreek can be taken as tea, like in a tea, like a glass, like drinking it, or you can get it in tablets. The other thing that is that somebody totally agrees. Lynn totally agrees. Thank you. I'm glad you agree. Time. When I was in Paris, I lived in Paris, and I taught at the chiropractic school in Paris. But when I was living there, I got like some throat issues and so on. And they routinely have this just as a cultural thing. They have time tea. I didn't know this at the time. I just had it. It tasted good, and it was non-caffeinated and so on. But time is actually antiviral, and it tastes really good. And I'll leave it to the French to have something good that's actually tastes good and it's good for you. So time tea, just the stuff you buy to put as a condiment over your chicken or whatever. Thyme is excellent. You could have it as a tea. I don't know if they make concentrated tablets. I think they do make tinctures if you do want to get droplets, and thyme is a very good antiviral. Very good. Those are great herbs, just two hand-picked ones I thought would be appropriate for coronavirus that I've used successfully in my practice. Now, the weight loss is key. I told you about the weight loss, but I love being overweight and obese will decrease your immune function. We kind of touched on that already, but it's definitely number 3 in the solution here. The food sensitivity diet kills 3 birds with 1 stone, so to say. In other words, that you're going to find the good and bad foods for your immune system, your metabolism, and inflammation. Now, if you have inflammation, that's once again water weight and also perhaps mucus production. So by doing the food sensitivity diet, we could eliminate all that mucus production and inflammation and low metabolism, all of which will give rise to a susceptibility to getting infected. The other thing is, you'd be surprised how much you could eat when you eat the right foods and still lose weight. And so that is we have several different programs for cleansing, dieting, and weight loss. This is our top one. You find out the good foods, the bad foods for you, and the superfoods, and the quantities of eating each of both. So there's actually foods that are superfoods for you. So we find out it's not what you think. It's not kale, certainly, like I shared with you, but it could be blueberries. I had one guy, it was blueberries of all things. Another person, it was mandarin oranges. Another person, it was lean beef, so we find out what's unique for you. So anyhow, that's that. Powerful technology out of Italy, believe it or not, where we send a hair sample and we get all that information back of 600 foods, what's compatible, what's incompatible. I can't ignore this because this is a huge factor, and I want to offer a little bit of tips on this. Just after having thousands and thousands of patients, I see stress go hand in hand with illness. And my recommendations to you, after recommending this and seeing it work with thousands, literally, because I've been involved in healthcare of all types of pain management, nutritional issues, digestive issues, and immune function issues, is minimizing exposure to negativity, namely the media mania, all the craziness that's going on. Stay informed. You can look up the CDC and get some dry, boring information of facts, and that's what you want to work off of. But just watching the TV nonstop, they're paid to get you addicted, hooked, and rattle your cage. It's all designed to rattle your cage, and most of it's negative. I've had to watch it just to stay abreast of what's going on, and I'm amazed the language they use and the amount of fear triggering they do. So I highly recommend staying informed, knowing what to do, listening to the directors of our local and national government, as well as the CDC. Those are great outlets to listen to. I also think, frankly, Dr. Oz is somebody worth listening to. I also really like, from a nutritional standpoint, Dr. Berg, and he's on YouTube. You could listen to that. Anyhow, minimizing contact with anyone, quote unquote, infecting you with negativity. I just use that word just to impinge a little on you there. But I don't know about you, but there are some people out there that are just negative, and they want to also rattle your cage, and they want to just harp and obsess over the negativity. That's not going to do you any good. So love them up as individuals, friends, and neighbors, but stay away from them, especially now. Okay, so really, honestly. Be proactive with de-stressing yourself. Be proactive. You know what makes you happy, do it. If you like watching old Seinfeld comedy shows, watch it. If you like playing the piano or doing something creative, be productive, be active, keep busy, and don't tap into all the negativity. It'll do you no good. Stay informed, but stay away from that. And you need extra sleep. The American Heart and Lung Association says you need 6.5 hours a day normally. With stress, you need more. You could need 8 to 9 hours of sleep would be a good place to start. Get sleep, get some light exercise, do what we talked about before there. And I will tell you, number 5, I will tell you, if pain will weaken the immune system, chiropractic care has been proven to increase the immune function up to 137%. There is something called the neuroimmune system. That's the nervous system. And there was a study by a PhD years back where they took blood before and after a patient had a chiropractic adjustment, and it instantly increased the white blood cell count of the patients 15%. So it is something that is proven through history to decrease infections in all ages, and we're still busy here. We've adjusted our schedule slightly. So if you're an active patient or not, we're here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we've been really busy. So it's been a pleasure working with patients. And we are abiding by CDC guidelines of keeping the place as sterile and safe as possible. Anyhow, this is why I'm concerned. This is why I'm on tonight. I'm going to wrap this up in a second here, but this is why I'm concerned. Oh, thank you. Excellent. This is why I'm concerned. Look at this map here. This has to do with where it's spreading the most. Look at Italy being really bad. Iran, interestingly enough, spreading rapidly. But look, we're a close second to the most rapid color on the schematic where it's spreading. And like I said, the Surgeon General said there's a good chance more than 40% of our whole country is going to be exposed. And I want you ready for that, not just waiting for luck or just trying to avoid and just hide. And I'm telling you why I'm also concerned is I deal with a lot of patients, and ironically, I deal with some of the healthier patients, you know, but I'm telling you, how many of you guys are just run down, not taking care of yourself properly, not making it a priority, and walking around with bad intestinal health, which will knock out 80% of your immune function, and having some of those other components, the negativity, the lack of the nutrients absorption due to digestive stress. So I'm concerned because honestly, the difference between you getting exposed to coronavirus and actually getting sick, in other words, you could be around it and not get sick. There are some people that are surviving well and not getting sick, or you do get sick, has everything to do with your immune system and resistance. And I think we went through that earlier. And if you get infected, the difference between you recovering well or not will be determined by your immune system strength. Are you getting this? Are you seeing how important your role is in this? You don't have to just take a passive role and just think you're gonna get luck. I want you to stack the cards in your favor. I gave you 5 really good solutions there you could put into action straight away, immediately right now when you go to the refrigerator later. Avoid some of those foods I talked about. Okay, so that is just significant. So let me summarize this solutions. What we went over tonight is number 1, eliminating the bad foods. You remember which they are. I listed them several times, and some of them are ironic that they're promoted as, you know, like garlic and kale as being super healthy foods, and it's actually counterproductive to your health. Taking the nutrients, the vitamin C, zinc, probiotics, fish oils, another good one I didn't put on the list there, and zinc. So weight loss, very important. You don't have to be skinny winny in a matter of a week, but just get on the road and your immune system will function better very quickly. In fact, maybe in a day, if you just stop eating those bad foods and start just monitoring your weight and getting off the sugar and so on. Stress management, those are some real practical tips. I know they sound like, oh yeah, I've heard that before, but if you put them into action, they work, especially the negativity. Minimize, be on a low negativity diet. How's that? Okay, eliminating pain and having a healthy spine, hugely important, very much overrated. I threw it in there. And really, here's the thing. Now, over the last 30, 40 minutes that I spent with you here, even if I had 4 hours together instead of just the last 40 minutes, it's going to be hard, almost impossible to create lasting improvement in your immune system. And to get the full extent and benefit of what I could share with you after caring for thousands of patients and safeguarding you against this, I think you could use some individualized one-on-one help as far as that goes. So we have a program. Is it okay if I share with you the program that we've used for years now that we've slightly adapted for the boosting the immune system as a slight adjustment, no pun intended. Do you want me to just show you what that's about? Okay, yes. All right. So it's to help you maximize your immune function and resistance as soon as possible. and that would be certainly timely, right? Is to create strong, vibrant health and weight loss as if needed. Sorry about the typo there. I saw it. Anyhow, so what it consists of is the food sensitivity to it first and foremost. You could take vitamins, but think about even a handful of vitamins. That's still like an ounce. But if you're eating 2 pounds of food in a day, the food is going to have the dominant effect on your health and vitality and your immune system. The couple vitamins will have a strong effect, but not if you're eating bad foods. So finding out the bad foods, getting out of your diet, creating a custom meal plan with the good foods and also accentuating the superfoods that we find are unique for you will build your immune system, decrease inflammation and pain, and create weight loss and overall health. We, after we do the test, we meet with you and groove it in for anywhere 6, 12 weeks. We have a couple different programs on how we do it. We also monitor you and coach you through it through texting and talking. And we could do this all remote. I have several patients around the country. I have somebody in Nashville. I have somebody in Jacksonville, Florida. So we do this remote. We mail you a kit to mail your hair into the lab in Italy, and you don't even need to leave the house. So it's a very unique way of doing this, and we could help you along. We get a test that's color-coded, and it gives 600 foods and the compatibility. Check out Bruce here. He's one of our poster children I'm very proud of. Look at the picture from left to right. This was mostly weight loss, but he had some other concerns. He had I don't want to go into the details, but he had an infectious disease component with his case. That's why I chose it. And look at his blood pressure. He was 171/112. After just 3 months, not only did he lose 30 pounds, but his blood pressure went down to normal. So what happened to his immune function, folks? It improved. So here's another thing. The bonus of the program is we have a nutritional detox and herbal vitamin evaluation specifically for boosting your immune system, regulating and improving your digestive system, and any unique ailments that come up that we could address naturally. Now, information alone, no one gets healthy just listening to another person. You don't get healthy as far as that goes. You really have to put it into action. I really want to challenge you to put it into action. And if you want a little help and hand-holding, I'll show you how we could do that. But I challenge you to put into play. You'll see it get changes quickly. And really, you guys, when the going gets tough, and it is tough, this is a scary situation. I'm not minimizing this. I'm being very positive because I tend to be a positive person, but by no means take this as I'm being light on this topic or I'm being light on public health concerns of cleaning and all that. I'm not minimizing that at all. I'm just filling in a huge gap and missing information that I wanted to share with you that's not being talked enough about. So when the going gets tough, you have two viewpoints or approaches you could take. The girl on the left with her fists in the air, ready to go, or somebody just eating the chocolate and giving up. I don't want you to give up. Fight. Add those 5 things to your regimen and win. You're going to win. We're going to get through this. And if you play some, just some easy, simple things, cost-effective things to do, it's going to make the difference. It literally could make the difference of how you're going to react to this. So we have, if you liked what you heard here, if you like the idea of taking responsibility for your health and your resistance and playing an active role in that half of the battle is not just avoidance, it's being proactive to safeguard your immune system so you could handle what comes your way. And we have a special immune wellness evaluation. We do a 3-positional blood pressure. If you come to the office, we could also do it over the phone. We don't do the blood pressure, but we do a consultation and evaluation. We see if you qualify, if the food sensitivity would be a good fit for you. It's pretty obvious when it is. We do a body comp exam, once again, if you come into the office, but we could do this all remote. We do a risk factor analysis, whether you come into the office or not. And it's free. You're crazy not to do this. I just ought to be responsible. If some of this indicated to you and you think this is a good idea, but you want a little guidance, do this. It's free. It's what we're doing. We're stepping up to help people out. Things are busy here, but slow enough so we could squeeze some of these consults in either on the phone. I recommend on the phone. Don't call me now, but call to schedule an appointment tomorrow. My staff will be in. we're going to be going through all of that. And from that, we could outline and give you a strategy on what, in your unique case, of what you should do, what herbs you should take, what nutrients would be strong for you. Frankly, I don't even carry a lot of those vitamins and nutrients, so I'm not interested in selling you the nutrients as far as all that goes. And I'll let you know what would get you on the fast track immediately, or as close to, as quickly as possible, let's just say, to bolster your immune system so you're strong and able. So all you have to do is call our office, Peak Performance Healthcare. It's 312-440-9646. And if you choose to do any of our programs, what we're doing to be compassionate and helpful is we're doing something we've never done before, is almost offer half off or 40% off of any of our food sensitivity testing, coaching, or nutritional counseling. So you get that as something very special that we're rising to the occasion on. So I would like to open up the floor for questions. We're done with what I had prepared for you, but some of you guys asked some really good questions. Put it in the chat box. Yes, drinking a lot of water is important. Yes, soy. Amy, the soy comes up quite often as a food sensitivity you want to avoid, and many times soy milk and soy products, if you have a food sensitivity for it, will cause mucus and cause some problems in the digestion again, so you want to avoid that. If you do choose to have soy, you guys want to eat something that's not genetically modified and organic. Soy is not a bad product. It's just when it's genetically modified, it will, and it will throw off your estrogen and give men too much estrogen and so on. Okay, any questions? Plug it in. Clients, so they could, I'm sure, 6 feet apart. Okay, 6 feet apart. Yes, social distancing, very important once again, because if somebody sneezes and projects that fluid, it could affect you. So yes, you want to keep that away. Okay, how does the food sensitivity, the DNA identity parts of the blood, okay, we did blood tests for years. I did so many blood tests. I did more blood tests for food sensitivity than anybody I know. And I know a lot of people in healthcare. So I will tell you that it was frustrating. I got some good information, but when the push came to shove, the blood tests for food sensitivity, the ones you're seeing on the internet with the little finger prick, there was even something on Shark Tank, blah, 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 are around 50 to 65% accurate. The test we use with a hair sample, the one that we use with a hair sample is 94% accurate. So it makes my job very easy. Once we do we take the hair sample, it's use your cellular information up against the components of 600 foods. We find out what's compatible and incompatible with you to 94% accuracy. And I've done it on myself, my family, and my staff, and hundreds of patients. And just the only thing is you have to follow the meal plan, and we work with you on that, and you get results for one. I can't remember anybody that didn't follow the program 90%. You don't have to be an angel, but 90% not seeing incredible. I have an immuno blood print from 9 years ago. I would say 9 years ago, it's not good anymore. We retest people on this new program we're doing every year. We see changes that are significant enough that it should be redone. 9 years ago is too old, but great to hear from you again as far as that goes. Okay, great question. Does insurance cover it? Insurance does not cover the food sensitivity testing. It does not cover your vitamins, certainly doesn't cover your bill at Whole Foods. So, but really, health assurance and health insurance is fortifying your body so you're not going to get sick and diseased and then use your health insurance. So I'd love to get you so healthy and so strong and your vitality, you don't have to go to the hospital. Wouldn't that be great? I'm not saying to avoid the hospital. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be great if you get so healthy by eating right? Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. And he's the one every medical doctor takes a Hippocratic oath to. Where are you located? We're at 1749 North Wells in Old Town. Just give us a call. My staff is very alert. I actually presented this talk to them not too long ago. They're ready to help you. We have pretty much all our staff have been through this program, and they stay super healthy. I selfishly like them to eat well and take these herbs and do well, so I could selfishly keep them on post, performing well, helping you guys out. So it's a win-win. It's not an evil plan, would it be? Okay, any other questions? Please put in the chat box. Any questions? I can unmute you guys and we could ask some questions. We have around 40 people on this call. So if I unmute, I have a rule here is that you just let one person talk. So, by the way, we're not near Cumberland, but I'll tell you, I'm telling you, we do a food consultation, a food sensitivity, immune boosting consultation over the phone. We don't need to do some of the testing that we would if you come in here to really know if you qualify for some of our programs. So if you live far away, you want to do a phone consultation first, we could always follow up down the road and do that. So I highly recommend just jot down the number 312-440-9646. Give my staff a call. They'll put you on the books and we'll have a conversation. So I'm going to unmute you if you just have some courtesy to everybody involved. Somebody speak up and then I'll take that question and we'll move along. I'm unmuting everybody. If you could try to be quiet, I'll take the question and then I'll mute you all again. So somebody ask me a question. You're all unmuted.
What is the ratio of fenugreek you're supposed to take?
Excellent question. Hold on one second while I'm talking here. The amount of fenugreek or time for that matter, there's no set recommendations like I did for the vitamin C. So I could tell you therapeutically, when you make medicinal tea, what you want to do is boil it down in half. So I recommend if you have the fenugreek or the thyme to take a quart, boil it down so you only have 2 cups left. Have 1 cup in the morning and save the other one in the refrigerator for the evening. You could heat it up and have it in the evening, and that's usually a good way to go. Usually doing a couple tablespoons, like 2 to 4 tablespoons in the quart of water would be appropriate for either. Great question. I didn't go into that, so thanks for clarifying that. I'm unmuting everybody for the next question. Good question.
Yes.
Okay, shoot again. Question?
Can the virus survive on vegetables?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. I'm going to mute you all again. Can the body survive on vegetables? There's a big trend right now. I saw the movie. I don't know if you saw the movie Game Changer, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like listening to that guy. He's funny. But I think it's misleading. I don't trust a lot of the research they use there. I'm not a big fan, only out of practicality. I've had so many sick patients come to me that have been vegans, and I know this might be unpopular with some of you, almost to a religious degree of not eating meat. And I'm telling you, the problem's not with the meat. The problem is with, and when I say meat, I don't mean bologna or hot dogs. I mean real meat. But the problem is the farming practices. So if you eat really crappy meat with processed meats and things along those lines, it might be bad. But most of the time when people go vegan, they simply give up a lot of junk food and a lot of the damaging foods. It's really not the meat giving up or the fish you give up that makes you feel perhaps better. It really has a lot to do with getting rid of just the overall bad food options that you're in. But I've food sensitivity tested so many people, and I've gotten them eating very particular fish. We test like 80 fish and 40 different types of meats. We find out what's good for you and not good for you, and it's ironic. Sometimes chicken is not good for you, and you're going to thrive better on beef. You don't know until you're tested. So I'm not a fan as a doctor standpoint, not on a philosophical or my pet thing. I just want to get patients well. And I frankly found one of the harder patients to work with, and I do work with them, is people that want to be vegan or plant-based. We do food sensitivity for them, and I could create a more balanced diet to allow them to do well, but it's a lot harder. Great question and very timely, because that's a very popular thing going on. I'm unmuting you all again for the next question. Okay, I'm going to take just a couple more, so give me a question, good one. Question. Okay. You're unmuted. Any questions? Any final questions? Wrapping up.
Well,
You guys.
How much vitamin C?
Okay, I'm gonna mute you all again. Okay, vitamin C, I went over that before. I think it's safe for you if you want to use a therapeutic dose to maximize your immune function, help your digestive tract, and help your overall free radical protection. 3 grams a day to 9 grams a day. And once again, I haven't talked to you, I don't know your size, weight, or health concerns, but those are much higher doses than you'll probably hear anywhere else. But to have the wonderful effects of vitamin C, taking that much. Certainly if you get a little diarrhea, that's the only real negative effect. It's a water-soluble vitamin. You'll just be peeing it out anyhow if it's too much, but I don't think it's too much. So many people are toxic and could really benefit from the anti-toxic effects of the vitamin C. So 3 grams, if you want to start with that. If you want to be really ambitious, you could go higher. There's a lot of information online about that, about using therapeutic dosage, which is much higher than the RDA. Okay, I'm gonna unmute the all for another question. Questions?
Yeah.
Okay, any last questions? My last question, shoot. Okay, any questions before I sign off? I'm gonna wrap this up. Okay, I'm checking the chat box if anything else is in there. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up by really wishing you well. I think we have to pull together for all of this. I gave you some practical direction as far as this goes, in a real void of information on telling you to really address, you know, the public health concerns and the hygiene and the avoidance and the isolation are very important, but it's missing a huge component for the fact that the Surgeon General said that 40% of our country or more are going to be exposed to the coronavirus. You can't just sit there like Benjamin Franklin said, you know, not preparing is preparing to fail, and fail in this case could be devastating. So putting these basic things in place, we could do it without a visit. We could do a food sensitivity test on you. Let's at least do the consult and see if it would benefit you, or allow me to answer some questions that would at least give you some practical things to do right now so your immune system can work for you. There's a lot of misinformation out there. I'm not saying I'm all knowing, but I do have the benefit of having thousands of patients I've worked with, and I've seen humbly what works. And some of that goes against my judgment. I just go with what works based on the testing and what I've seen work in and out. And I study the research and so on. So I'm in a unique position to share that for you. I'd love to impart that. Come in for, call us for the food sensitivity immune boosting consultation. It'll be around 15 to 20 minutes. And I could give you some direction for there or more attention. I could share with you what we could do straight away and lay out a strategy for you to keep you strong during these challenging times. I'll be keeping you, all of you, in the thoughts. I really want to thank you for coming on the webinar tonight. Please share your friends. We have recorded this. We could share it with you. If you want to share it with other people, we will shoot it out to our list. And I encourage you to call us, schedule some time, and we'll see how we could help you in your unique situation and our common situation of everybody needs to play a very active role in improving your immune function as your personal role in safeguarding not only yourself, but the healthier you are, the less likely you'll just be a host and potentially spreading this around. If your immune system can kill this off, you won't be a walking cesspool of disease contamination. So I want to thank you for coming. I'm going to sign off tonight. It's Dr. Arculeo from Peak Performance Healthcare. Call us at 312-440-9646 to set up your strategy session on the phone, and we could take it from there. Thanks for the questions. I felt like it was in front of a crowd. You made it great. Thank you.